And welcome to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. Glad you're with us. This is a show where each week we visit with interesting people and discuss topical issues. We've got a guest that we wanted to have on the show for a long, long time.
A long time. Head coach Bob Stoops, the University of Oklahoma football coach. We've been wanting to have as a guest for many years, and now we've been lucky enough to retrieve him, get him in here, and we're going to talk to him about what's going on at OU and what his perceptions are about Oklahoma and the upcoming season.
His impact transcends what the sporting world does, but also into the business aspects and Central Oklahoma's economy as a whole. We'll talk to Bob Stoops today on The Verdict.
In driving rain, blistering heat, and bitter cold, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, Chesapeake drills non-stop for natural gas on American soil. Chesapeake drills more new gas wells than anyone else, and from those wells collects the most drilling information and acquires more 3D seismic images, leveraging every efficiency to improve the odds of finding more natural gas every day with every well we drill. The better job we do of discovering bigger reserves of clean-burning American natural gas, the greater the prosperity of our nearby communities, our state, and our nation. And as long as there are more gas reserves to be found here in the U.S., we will never rest. Chesapeake. Natural gas wins the day.
Wilsey, Meyer, Eatman, Tate. We're accountants. We do taxes, business valuations, estate planning, and consulting. And we're right here in Oklahoma, working with the owners of small and medium-sized businesses. Steve Wilsey and Stuart Meyer have the resources and the experience. Wilsey, Meyer, Eatman, Tate in Oklahoma City and Tulsa.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
Very pleased today to have with us Coach Bob Stoops, the head coach of the University of Oklahoma Sooners. He has been with the Sooners for 10 years, starting his 11th year. Hard to imagine it's really gone that fast, but that is correct. He, of course, went to school or grew up in Ohio, played his ball at the University of Iowa, had very successful assistant coaching positions along the way until he became head coach at the University of Oklahoma in 1999. His winning percentage is the highest in Division I, at least for the last decade, 109 wins, 24 losses. Of course, his team won the national title in 2000, and they strive every year to repeat that. Coach, welcome. Sure glad to have you.
Thank you, Kent. Good to be here. Mayor Cornett, great to be with you guys.
Thanks, Bob. I know you concentrate a lot on today and the upcoming season, but take us back 11 years ago. You're offered the job. How difficult a decision was that to comprehend?
You know, it was pretty easy in that it was complicated at first because I was interviewing and talking with the University of Iowa, which was my alma mater. My wife's from the state of Iowa and went to school at Iowa as well. And Oklahoma had started the process sooner, and Joe Castiglione and President Bourne, I got to know them, and it was, the timing was, was kind of hairy for me and a little difficult. But in the end, Oklahoma had an offer that was there, and it was pretty easy. When you have an offer from one and you don't yet have one from the other, it's and I love the idea of the University of Oklahoma. I always followed Oklahoma as a youngster, know the tradition and history at the university, or I knew of it. And you know, after spending 10 years at Iowa, 5 as a player, 5 as a young coach, sometimes you feel like that period of time was finished. It was time for something different. So I was really excited about the prospect and the opportunity of Oklahoma and being here with Joe Castiglione and President David Bourne. And you know, fortunately, it's really worked out well. But thinking back to that time, I think I was really fortunate how it all unfolded and having this opportunity.
I don't want to spend all the time going backwards, but I remember when Iowa played at Oklahoma, you were a student there playing on the team. What do you remember from that game in Norman playing for Iowa against OU?
Another funny situation in that he grew up, like I said, always followed Oklahoma football as a young person in Ohio, go to school at Iowa. My redshirt freshman year, so my first year playing ball, the second game of the year is right here in Norman, Oklahoma, against Billy Sims and the whole crew there, David Overstreet, and also anyway, great team. So it was exciting to come here and play and to line up against an excellent team with the tradition that they had. And the first game that year was against Nebraska, Iowa. So we opened up with Nebraska and Oklahoma. That was pretty tough, but it was Hayden Fry's first year there. Yeah. But I was a freshman and playing, and exciting time for me.
You mentioned your family, and I know that's very important to you. Your family's now been here, starting their 11th year as well. I guess some of your kids have not lived anywhere else, or at least remember living anywhere else. How does your family like living in Oklahoma and Norman in particular?
You know, it's very true. My daughter was 2 when we moved here, and then my wife was pregnant with twins when she moved here, and 9 months later have the twins, my twin boys. So they were born here, and my daughter doesn't remember her time in Florida where she was born and being here. So my wife, children, myself, we love it here in the state of Oklahoma. The people, the friendliness, the openness of everybody. Everyone's just down to earth and grounded. That's how we are. And they've loved their time here. They really have, and they've made a lot of great friends.
But you can't really go anywhere in Norman without people knowing who you are. Is that public persona? Is that difficult for you and the family?
You know, no, not anymore. I guess for a while I had a tough time maybe after winning the national championship, not just in Oklahoma but everywhere else, you know, that you go, getting used to that. And then after a while you understand it a little bit more, you get a little more comfortable with it. I think because I value being as a regular guy, and I take a lot of value in that. That's how you grow up. Blue collar guy from the south side of a steel mill town. You just want to be one of the guys, and then it takes you a while to realize, well, you know, you really can't. And you can in some degrees, but also in others, this comes with the job, and it grows on you, and you get a little more comfortable and used to it. And but there was a period of time that it needed to grow on me, but fortunately at this point in my career it has, and I am more at ease with it.
You've probably learned the value also of taking some time off in the off season, because you know how energetic the rest of the year is.
You know, I really like to think that overall my life is balanced. I love my job. I work hard at it, as do all coaches and my assistants, and it's important to be successful and win and all that. But I also have a good understanding of what truly matters in my life, and that's my relationships with my family, my faith, my friendships, you know, that are there from my childhood to new friendships now. So, you know, I really like to think that I've got a pretty good balance on, you know, on the success, but also, you know, also keeping perspective in your life on what really matters. And I say it a lot. At some point, I'll be hopefully sitting on a rocking chair. It'll be all finished. There'll be a record, and I probably won't know what it is. But hopefully my children, my wife, and friends will be around, and to sit there with you and enjoy the day, you know, because in the end, that's what really matters.
Well, you've been here long enough to certainly to acclimate and to get to know the state well. I know you didn't have near as much knowledge about Oklahoma when you came as you do now. What's been the biggest pleasant surprise for you about being here and in the state and at the university?
Well, I think I wouldn't say it's a surprise. You expect to be around great people, and I have been. I think the people here have been great to us, my family, myself, the reception, the friendships we've been able to develop. And I think where I feel fortunate is to work with the people I have at the University of Oklahoma, to be with the same president and David Bourne for 11 years, going on 11 years, same athletic director going on 11 years. That's rare in today's sports world and intercollegiate athletics, and to be with the same people, you know, that you have so much trust in and faith in and how they operate. And so to me, it's to be able to be lucky enough to be around the great people this entire time, and to not have the changeover and to have it go as smooth as it has.
There's usually more ebb and flow in a program. There's good times and weaker times, and you've been astonishingly consistent in competing for championships in your 11 years. How do you just keep it going? How do you just reload with players and keep the program on such a steady keel?
Well, I think a lot of it has been the continuity in our program. I already talked about our leadership from the top with President Bourne, Joe Castiglione, and then I've been fortunate to really be able to keep most of my staff through the years intact. Or I've had a good number of guys that in our program have moved on for head coaching jobs, but been lucky to have guys underneath them or in assistant positions to become coordinators, where we've never had to wholesale change what we're doing. And you know, and then Jerry Schmidt, our strength coach, and we have a certain way of going through the year and working towards those championships. It's been successful, and you know, we've had good quality players, not only athletically, but you know, in all different ways, that are successful guys that are driven, and been able to work with a lot of good youngsters that way to help build the program. And so I just say there's a fairly good formula that we've been fortunate to be able to keep consistent.
And I know there's so many NCAA rules and regulations that the compliance aspect of the program is extremely important to you, and I know that the other leaders that you mentioned as well. How much time is spent on educating the players about what they can do and what they can't do and what they should be careful about?
Quite a bit. We have quite a few team meetings when we get them back in the summer for 2-a-days. We have a team meeting almost every day to cover issues in regard to that, of just your conduct and you know, compliance issues. And because sometimes, you know, there's people out there that want to bring you in, and you have to understand what you're allowed and what you're not. And in the end, sometimes no one's looking but you've got to be the one to know what's right and appropriate and what isn't. And so we do a lot of education through the university with all our sports teams.
We're going to take a break and be back with more. You're watching The Verdict. Bob Stoops is today's guest.
Most of the artwork that I produce is with colored pencil and watercolor. The subject matter that I use is, of course, Chickasaw. Most of my themes revolve around family and really that foundation that has been a part of Chickasaw life since ancient times. The Chickasaw Nation is a matriarchal society. You've got one lady, she's probably the oldest member of the family, that everybody goes to and that everybody reveres. That is something that every woman can look forward to in the Chickasaw Nation, because they are extremely important in the family. Maybe one day I will be a matriarch. I think this is probably the secret to the success of our government, is that we still have maintained that idea that family is the most important thing, and that we must minister to the family first, and then all other things will fall into place.
Home values are down in some states, but not in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's home values have increased 4.2% during the past 12 months. Unlike some states where home values have decreased as much as 20%. Good thing you're in Oklahoma. There may be real estate problems in some states, but there has never been a better time than now to buy or sell a home in Oklahoma. One of the most affordable states in the country, Oklahomans are buying and selling homes every day, and an Oklahoma Realtor can show you how. Good thing you're in Oklahoma.
Okiwani is an Indian name for a place where children play. When we obtained the camp, we found a lot of oil debris left in the woods. We saw a commercial about how the oil and natural gas industry cleans up old oil well sites. We called the OERB, and they agreed to remove tons of concrete and steel. It didn't cost us a thing. Thousands of children have left their footprints on this land. Thanks to the oil and gas industry, they will for a long time to come.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers and today's guest, Bob Stoops. A little bit of a surprise to me that Bill Snyder decided to come back and be the head coach at Kansas State. You had coached against him before, and of course you coached under him 10 or 15 years ago.
Yes, I have a long history with Coach Bill Snyder with my time at Iowa, where he was an assistant coach. I was a player, together around each other there for 10 years, and 7 years on his staff at Kansas State, the initial 7 years. And I guess I was surprised to some degree that he came back, because Coach is always one of those very thoughtful and insightful guy that doesn't do anything on a whim, and thought when he retired, well, then he was finished. But then I also know his passion and love for the game, that that he isn't finished with it, and they're in a situation where that they wanted him back, and so he figured, hey, let's go back and do it. So I'm sure he'll continue to do a great job there.
Well, speaking of doing a great job, certainly the record at the last 10 years at Oklahoma has been outstanding, extraordinary. What are your expectations for the coming year? I'm not talking about a one-loss record, but just what do you hope to achieve with these young men?
It's always you want them to be as strong and good as they can be, and you have different breaks throughout a year, so you have to be realistic, as you go through the year, on what you can expect and what you want. I'm always careful until I have a chance to get with them in the summer, meaning two-a-days. We're not allowed to be with them now. Two-a-day sessions, and to see what kind of shape they're in and how tough-minded they're going to be, and to throw out, our standards are, of course, to win the conference championship is where most everything always begins with us every year, and we've been able to do that fairly consistently, and then compete for national championships and win them. But in the end, you'll want to see your team work before you just say, hey, we deserve to be. To me, you earn that right to put that on the chalkboard that we're going to go after the championship. We haven't done enough yet, and through two-a-days, hopefully we can, come back in great shape. Hopefully we'll have the attitude to work through two-a-days to build, to hopefully put that on the board to be one of our goals.
The manner in which college football's national championship is determined has evolved through the years, and it's changed quite a bit since you've been head coach at Oklahoma. How happy are you with the current situation of the BCS and the whole way that the national champion is determined?
I don't know that there's going to be a better way other than a playoff, and that's not as easy as the media would make you think that it is. With kids in finals, they want to say they're not. They are in finals. They are getting ready for finals. They do work hard at school, and logistically to get everywhere every other week, and what kind of fan travel. It's playoff isn't nearly as simple as they would lead you to believe, and it's still, this system, the BCS system now, is still better than not having it. When everyone used to go to, Oklahoma went to the Orange Bowl when they won a championship every year, so at least they have as good a chance to get 1 and 2 together as without the system. So I do think they're doing what they can to improve it, to make it as good as it can be. I still think it's better than not having it at all and just doing your own conference championships, go to certain bowls. And in the end, you think about it, why is there so much viewership? Has college football ever been any more popular, I would ask? Probably not. No. Why are people in California interested in what we're doing at Oklahoma? Why are people in Florida interested in what people out in the West Coast are doing, or Oklahoma or Ohio State? Because it's a playoff through the year. And that's why the TV viewership is what it is, because everyone wants to see. If you lose, it's crucial, or if you win, you got another step closer. And you don't want to diminish that. The value of the regular season is so popular in our sport, and maybe more so than any other sport, because we don't have something at the end. You're earning through the year, your regular season, you are earning that right to maybe be one of those teams. So the other part is you don't want to devalue the season when we have stadiums of not 13 and 15,000 like you do in basketball. We got 85,000, 110,000 at some stadiums, people coming because that one game is so critical and so important. So in the end, I don't. Do I like it? I don't like having to answer all the questions about it, but it's better than not having it, and I don't see a playoff anytime soon.
Let's talk just a minute about the Big 12 Conference this coming year. I mean, it's always competitive, particularly the Big 12 South, always very ferociously fought. Do you expect the same thing this year? Are there some teams that perhaps haven't been as competitive in the past that you expect will be more so this year?
No, it's always incredibly competitive. Our division in the South is extremely tough. It's always talked about, and great teams, good coaches, excellent players. And in the North as well, I've got, there's a lot of excellent football teams, in this conference. So, and we have a challenging one with the places we have to go this year. So, I expect to be as tough as it's ever been, and I don't see it getting any weaker anytime soon in the near future. So, it's that way every year when you're the one that has to go through it, run the gauntlet, go through 12 regular season games. It's never easy. So you just take them one at a time and you get prepared for them.
With your continued success, the capital improvements made at the stadium and around the program are evident. Are you involved at all in the decisions about capital improvements at the stadium or with the program?
In regard to any capital improvements in regard to our football team, Joe Castiglione, President Bourne are always very good at including me in what is needed. And Joe and President Bourne also what I appreciate, always are looking to the future. Instead of waiting until we're handicapped and hurting for something, they're always looking at what's coming and what do we project we're going to need, so that by the time we do need it, it's already in place. And as you've watched our stadium grow and our facilities change and grow, not only in football but throughout the university, I think that's evident. Their anticipation in the future of what we need and continuing to progress. So, but I am included in those projects in what pertains to the football team in general, or that's going to include our student athletes, which I appreciate, and we've made great strides and improvements through the years.
When you're recruiting student athletes, do you see trends about what kids are looking for when they're choosing a college? If we're talking about that handful of kids who have choices and options about which of the top programs they want to play, are they looking for facilities? Are they looking for coaches? Are they looking for academics? Are they looking for warm climates? Are you seeing evolving trends since you've been coaching?
Sure. I think all of those things pertain, and that, all individuals are different, and that's the best way I could say it. What may be important to one young guy is something that's more important to him. And, academics are always a big part of it when you talk to them. I think proximity always matters when it gets down to recruiting. And I think we've been fortunate to have some strong recruiting classes because, as you said, TV exposure, having success, being in bowl games and Big 12 championship games, those kind of things make a difference. Young guys want to be on that big stage, and it always helps you in recruiting.
So one of the keys is determining what's important to this particular young man.
Exactly, and they're all a little bit different. And sometimes you might have it all, but his girlfriend went somewhere else. Sometimes that's hard to beat. And so all young guys are a little bit different.
Just in the few seconds we have left, in the recruiting process, how hard is it to evaluate the prospective player's character, whether he's going to be a good citizen or not when he comes to your program?
It's hard in the amount of time that you're allowed with them. One visit a week for me. I get to visit them one time outside of our campus. Our assistant coaches are able to more than that. So we do our best to visit with everyone that's in school, everybody that's had a relationship with this young guy on what can we expect, and we're very careful about it, as I think most schools and coaches are.
We've run out of time. Coach, thanks for coming on The Verdict.
Okay.
All right.
Cornett, appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Coach.
Thank you.
University of Oklahoma head football coach Bob Stoops. Kit and I'll have a final word right after this.
All children deserve a life of hope and love. but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information. And for almost 30 years, Oklahoma political, government, and business leaders have turned to the McCarville Report for accurate, reliable, inside information. Visit the McCarville Report online.
We are taping this show on a Monday morning. Yesterday I was in church and I guess in a sense eavesdropping on the conversation at the pew in front of me before church started, and the young man in front of me to the right turned to the man he had just met on the left and said, "Are you a Sooner fan?" As if you couldn't be properly introduced in this state unless you knew which school you were properly aligned with. I think that shows the impact of the program on this community.
Well, it really does. Having grown up here myself, I can certainly attest to that, and it's been a thing that's always on the mind of many Sooners, or many citizens, all year long, not just during football season.
We have some website information for you. Of course, there's lots of information about the University of Oklahoma's football program, and don't forget our website, theverdict.tv. We'll see you next time.
The preceding program was produced exclusively for the Cox Channel.